Tato BGO, welcome to Startup Nation United. Very, very happy to have you here. We had a great episode talking about UBQ and your work and the importance of this company in the context of the world in general. But like we just discussed, your company has also been at the front line of everything that's been happening with the conflict and the situation over the last 51 days, really. So for a time capsule, November 26th, it's 51 days into the war. And it's an important time to stop and reflect on how a company like UBQ managed to go from tragedy, but to continue and to continue being one of the leading figures in the Israeli ecosystem, and not only business as usual, but to continue being one of the most notable companies according to Times of 2023. And so it's great to have you here, Tato. Thank you so much. Before we even get started talking about October 7th and the tragic events that happened there, tell me just a little bit for context about yourself and about UBQ, just so that we have context here all together.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. I'm happy to be in this presentation with you.
Thank you.
I am a Peruvian by origin, and I'm here in Israel for most of my adult life. UBQ is a result of many years of probably professional experience and the impetus that I had as a person, always with a very entrepreneurial spirit. But I think that being an entrepreneur with a lot of business and industrial experience makes it maybe easier to be one of those that succeed in the statistic to be able to make it. Typically, they say 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 startups succeed. I think that it is very, very much in line with the potential of an execution team that you have. And if you are an experienced person and you know how to bring extraordinary people around you, the chances are much higher. And that's what we did. In 2012, we established UBQ, and since then, really we have been making probably good choices, and also have been very thorough in developing this technology to the point where today UBQ is able to convert household waste, municipal household waste, including all the organics, which is the food residues and the chicken bones and the hamburgers and the pizza box with the pizza and the diapers and the mixed plastics together into a green, sustainable, recyclable plastic that can replace oil-based plastics. This is an alternative material that is sustainable, that doesn't cost the planet anything, and on the contrary, we're solving the harms of waste, and on the other hand, replacing scarce and expensive oil-based resins with a material that never existed before, which is called UBQ material. That's what we do.
Incredible. And so, obviously, an international company, internationally recognized company in the sustainability space, and extremely cool technology. You also, for context, have factories and plants across Israel and also down in the south, right?
That is correct. We have our R&D facility, which turned into the commercial pilot plant, and then into the commercial plant, is established in the south of Israel, about 35 kilometers from Gaza Strip. Some of our employees come from adjacent areas. You might know that around the strip, there are a number of communities, most of them agricultural communities, people that in a way were entrepreneurs and came to develop the land and also establish eventually industrial facilities, and became a powerhouse in the economy of this country. Extraordinary people, families being in a community where everything is split between them. It's a very noble cause. Most of them are very pacific and pacifist people. You have a lot of artists, and some of them have very professional degrees, And we have a number of about 20 people that come from those areas working in UBQ in the south, in our plant. And definitely, we were part of these events of Saturday the 7th, because a good portion of our employees do live in those affected communities.
So walk me through, where were you on October the 7th morning? So early morning, what was the situation for you? And then how did things unfold for you over the next 1 or 2 days as sort of you were piecing together the whole situation?
I live in Tel Aviv, and that morning, October 7th, they fired about 2,500 missiles to the different parts of the country, including Tel Aviv. So at 6:30 a.m. on Saturday, which is our sacred day, Shabbat, and it's especially a day of calmness because it was also a holiday. We're sound asleep. 6:30 a.m. alarms. We immediately go to the refuge room, and it was very strange to get alarms all of a sudden, out of nowhere in Tel Aviv. It was almost these were rockets from Gaza. And in that minute, when I went to the refuge with my kids, I realized that if I am getting rockets, most probably all my staff living in adjacent areas were being bombed more than me. So I immediately sent a WhatsApp to our plant manager and COO, asking him how is he, and he told me, "Look, they're firing like crazy, and I'm in the refuge room taking care of myself. But this is a disproportionate attack, and we've never seen something like that before." A few minutes later, when we could step out of the refuge room, because after 10 minutes you can go out and wait for the next alarm if it comes. Again, I sent a WhatsApp and I said, "How are you doing, Gil Felus?" And he said, "Tato, this is worse than we thought. I think I'm hearing terrorists around us shooting all over the place, and these missiles had only been a distraction for something even bigger." And I'm talking to you 7 a.m., only 30 minutes late. This guy is in their refuge with his wife and kids and a little dog, quiet, not knowing what happens, but for sure he's hearing shots and he's hearing Arabic and he's hearing a lot of noise, and he understands that he's in a different situation than ever before. There is probably an invasion of terrorists, and there will be a situation, and that's the. If you ask me how I opened the morning at 7 a.m., I was already aware that something bad was going on. The outcome will evolve in the next hours, and I was in a way living what they were living because we were on the phone most of the time.
Unbelievable. So what unfolded over the next few hours?
At 7:30 a.m., I got another WhatsApp. This time from one of our accountants. Her name is Nina, and she lives in Kibbutz Nir Oz. Gil lives in another kibbutz. It's Kfar Aza, which is not far away. And she said, "Guys, my husband has been shot. Please call the military. Please call the ambulance. Please help me. We're hearing shots." Now, this is another kibbutz. So I am now realizing that they are also hearing terrorists around, and that her husband is shot on the floor with a towel, trying to stop the hemorrhage while they're trying to close the door of the refuge room. So one little detail that is important maybe to mention to you and everyone who is listening to us is that these refuges are not made for terrorist attacks, people coming in. They are made to cover you from bombs. So the doors have no locking. You just close the door. It's a big door, but you don't have a system to lock it from inside. So they to take the handle and exert counter pressure to the terrorist trying to open the door. And this guy was shot, and he still was on the floor with one hand keeping the handle, and with the other with a towel, because Nina was with her three kids, pampering them and giving them security. So she had hands to help him handle the door, and she was desperate, and she was really, crying in WhatsApp for help. And then we started hearing from the others that were in the same group, in our WhatsApp group, from other kibbutzim, Be'eri, for example, saying exactly the same, guys, we are in the same situation, we're hearing shots, we're hearing screams. So in the next hours, I asked my kids to go to sleep. Luckily, we stayed very late that night, so they were very tired and they didn't need to be with me. I was getting WhatsApps and I was trying to find, give answer to this. But just like them, these people that I know, there are hundreds and thousands of others whom I don't know, who have friends in Tel Aviv and in other areas asking for the same help. So there was a disproportionate number of people asking desperately for help, while the terrorists were really in hundreds, going house by house, shooting everyone, and, either killing or burning houses with people inside alive. And some of them, those who couldn't stand the horror or needed to breathe because the house was burning, were taken as hostages. And so at 11 a.m., we started seeing footage from them, the terrorists, where they were filming and they were sending it to their social media. And that social media was taken by the news here in Israel. And we started seeing almost live how they conquered all these beautiful communities and how they started just killing people like savages. The most tragic thing maybe was that there was a peace concert in an adjacent. There were thousands of young people dancing in the middle of the night. It was a peace concert called the Nova Concert. And these guys had the perfect storm. They found all these young kids and started shooting them just like, like savages, and they killed hundreds. So at the end of the day, we didn't know exactly what was happening, but we already knew that probably we lost some of our colleagues, and that we didn't know really how many we had lost and what was the destiny, because the batteries of their telephones sometimes finished and then they had connection, and the army was also grabbing the communications so the terrorists couldn't communicate, so they lost communication, and we were like waiting to hear from them, what's going on. So very, very difficult day, I tell you. I mean, we couldn't sleep for 48 hours almost. And if you want to know what is the outcome of UBQ, regrettably, out of the 13 people that we have living in these communities, 2 were shot dead. One is our head accountant who was working with the other accountant whose husband was shot. They couldn't really stop them from coming into the refuge room. She and her husband were shot, and the 2 twins, 10 months old, were left alive. The reason that they were left alive is not that they didn't kill babies, because they killed a lot of babies and even decapitated them. The reason these kids were kept alive is because their cry would attract the soldiers to rescue them, and that way they could. It was a human trap to attract soldiers and shoot them. So a horrible, really, it's macabrous, but that's what happened. But they lived. So they at least live, and then the other one is our head engineer, who is second plant manager, Uri Russo, who was also shot dead. Luckily, he was defending his family, and he could shoot. So the terrorists didn't wanted really to deal with his house, because there was a crazy guy shooting from there. They didn't know they had already shot him dead, so they left them alone. So he, in a way, saved her wife and 3 daughters. The other 11 were lucky that they were alive because their houses were burned, but they didn't choke. And but they, of course, lost family and all the community and their most, close friends. A true disaster. A true disaster. 1,400 dead, 250 hostages, 2,500 wounded. And for me, the most terrible thing is that these communities that really, are the heart and soul of what you call developing the land, developing the future, creating communities, cooperating in freedom to make life better and circular and clean, which is the mottos of this is exactly the population that was shot, killed there, and that is a true tragedy. We need to put those communities back immediately, and we need to come to life immediately to tell the terror, you will never win like that. That's not the way, and we will show you that there's no way we are going to fall apart. We will rebuild these communities, and we will continue.
It's unbelievable. So along the same mindset of we will continue and we will rebuild, you lost employees, you lost team members. How did UBQ continue functioning over this, let's say, a week even? What do you, as a leader, how do you continue running this company during this time?
We had very clear that the first priority was to be very, very close to our team members in Israel. I just want to make a parenthesis. We also have a very big team in the Netherlands. We have a big plant in the Netherlands. And yet, all our attention was focused on the welfare of our employees. We really worked close to them. We made sure that anything that they needed, in addition to whatever the government was able or not able to give them, we give them. They left those houses with nothing. I mean, they lost them. So they needed food, they needed clothing, they needed computers, they needed support, and we were there for them. That was the first thing we did in that week. The second thing is that we already spoke about if and when we will be able to go back to the factory in the south with a small team of people just to take material, part of our stock material to an outer space so that we can ship it abroad and continue supplying our customers from the material we have in Israel. So we already organized an operation of rescuing our material from the factory. Okay? And on top of it, we already started working with our team leaders, factory in the south, on how to try eventually and bring the factory back as soon as possible, because we knew that was the only way to overcome some of the difficulties of these people. Going back to work and trying to go back to normality is the best remedy to overcome that trauma, which of course will psychologically will be there, but they needed that ventilation to go back to work. So we prepared everything. We were close to our people. We informed all our investors, all our employees around the world, all our suppliers. We would send every 3 days to everyone a different letter, of course, because you address the letters differently, to each one of our stakeholders, informing them what we were doing. And that was extremely appreciated by all our ecosystem. And so they were part of what we were going through. And they really were very supportive, and that helped us overcome these 3 difficult first weeks where we really need to put our act together back again. After 3 weeks, we started organizing our teams to go back. We rented places, we organized transportation, and 4 weeks later, UBQ was back in operations with our team members. And I have to tell you that when I went the first day, we were all very emotional because we could see the rooms of our colleagues empty and their photographs and everything. But we were so happy that we could, continue and that we will show that the terror will never stop us from doing the right thing. And that spirit is extremely valuable, and the resilience and solidarity of these people is beyond anything I have ever seen. And I'm so proud of our team members, and in general of the Israeli society has been very supportive also to us.
Incredible, Tato. Thank you so much for sharing with me both your personal experience, but your leadership and the what sounds to have been a tragedy for all of us, but also for a company like UBQ. But what a motive that continuously came back at time over this conversation is the imperativeness of continuing, rebuilding, staying strong, and the best remedy is to continue inspiring, not just locally but internationally, and continue being a leader. And so I can see how you're living through this pain, but at the same time you're leading through it. And so as an entrepreneur, I thank you for that leadership and for that inspiration. So thank you very, very much for everything and for this time here. I'm excited to share this with everybody. 51 days into the war, it's not enough to gain perspective necessarily, but already I feel like there's a lot to be shared here. So thank you so much for everything, Tato.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. I appreciate it.